So like I had said, it's sort of this, now this is a new video, but I printed the previous image and then immediately started painting on this, and they're quite similar. And I was sort of reminded of those cooking shows um, where they put one dish in the oven and then immediately pull out the same dish already baked. And so here I am pulling out the same piece, not so much baked, but ready to paint. Now, when I done the first one of these, I did Manhattans. And I guess I thought those were going to be the more difficult, because I tend to start hard and work to easy. Does that make sense? But discovering that these martinis are going to be very difficult to depict. Because of course you're dealing with a clear vessel and a clear contents of the vessel. And so trying to figure out exactly how I want to depict that is going to be a little tough. Not worried, I'll figure it out. So, also as you can see, the white, well, all the colors are a bit translucent, so more of the print is popping out. I don't know if that's good or bad, but nevertheless. Sorry, that radio was distracting me. So I have to kind of figure out how to best do this. And I had thought about like a lemon twist, and then I went, it just didn't read. So you get to have the fun of watching me struggle a bit here. But that is, ironically, the pleasure of art making for me. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I never do. I have ideas, I have hopes, but I don't really know what's going to work. This whole idea of working on top of a Linocut is a total crapshoot. Ironically, later I'll be throwing dice to figure things out. Hopefully I'll remember the crapshoot reference when I get to that, but whole nother story. So I just wanted to sort of give you a peek into the struggle part of this. And sort of a revelation. Artists don't always know what they're doing. And if I knew exactly how it was going to turn out and what I was doing, and bada bing, bada bang, look at this is what I set out to do, this is what I did, it's exactly, if I didn't learn anything in the process, that holds minimal interest for me. And that's sort of a fun challenge with this idea, is that I'm repeating something over and over and over again, which is not my normal modus operandi. Crapola. I meant to take the shadow back across here, like I did in the Manhattan piece. But I'm not going to. Why repeat myself? He says in an image that constantly repeats itself. Okay, well, that's decided. Inadvertently. So then it becomes a game, what am I going to do with this shadow? How am I going to play with it. How am I going to use it? Because I am using the shadow to connect the images, to expand on the idea, to manipulate the background. So the shadows always, and no matter what work you're doing, shadows can become a very important part of a piece and can really drive the piece. It can be a way to move the artist's eye. It can be a way to activate the painting more. You know, shadows are conceived of as background, but they aren't necessarily, I mean, they can be every bit as important. In this case, these shadows are more readable almost than the image itself. So that's just another piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to keep working on this off camera maybe, or at least without you having to listen to me blather. And I'll be back on the other side after a bit. Do we see where it's going? So I'm just looking like, so you can see that this kind of splooged into it. Does that matter? I think so. So I'm going to lightly drag the white back across it, and that's all. I was talking with Bridget about this, and one of the tough things in making art, almost the toughest, is knowing when to stop, knowing when to leave it alone, knowing when, like that, like see these little bits right in here, or that little orange, or to let that be. So the hardest, one of the hardest parts of art making is stopping. To go, yeah, no, that's good the way it is. Is it perfect? No. Should it be perfect? No. So I'm going to let that stand. I'm going to let the shadow mistake stand. Just had a thought, what if the other shadows on the next row went the other way? I probably won't like that. So, I won't do the whole give it a follow, all that kind of stuff until later. But I hope you will. Sorry. See, I spend as much time thinking about where the next mark goes as I do making the next mark. And I'm just wondering, part of what I'm debating here is just how pastel, pastel meaning how much white is mixed into the color, is this piece going to be. The previous piece, the Cosmos piece, is very saturated in color, whereas this one is a little more open. All right, I'm going to stop the real-time video right now and maybe switch over. Hey, so now you've seen some of the time lapse, and so I'm continuing to press on. You know, I've talked before about production work and my dislike thereof. So it's a little curious how I ended up here, because in some ways this is production work. Not really, but you know, this it's the musical term, variations on a theme. So that's kind of what I'm doing, is variations on a theme. A theme I think is working. But so this is day 2 working on the piece. Well, day 2 of the painting of the piece. And I'm anxious to get this one, that one, and there's 2 more that I want to shift glass, because I have been toying around with doing wine glasses as well. You probably saw, maybe you didn't see, I don't know if I shared it or not. Sorry. I have carved some wine glass stamps. We'll see how that does. And today I was digging around for a die. You know, a die, the kind you roll. Not a die cut die. But shockingly enough, I couldn't find one. You know, I feel like I see them in every little catch-all container all around the house until I want one. You know, I think every kitchen has a junk drawer, as we call ours. And it's just kind of where everything ends up. All the whatnots, light bulbs, miscellaneous cords, oddball screws, things that fall off of other things. So I was sure there would be a die in there, but nope. The reason I want a die is for the next piece. So like this is all martinis. The first one was all Manhattans. The spiral one was all Cosmos. But now I'm thinking the next one is going to be a variety of drinks. And of course, toying around with a rather benign title of mixed drinks. There's going to be a variety of drinks served in martini glasses. So, you know, espresso martinis, lemon drops, Cosmos, sidecars. I don't know how far I'll take the breakdown, because I do work as a bartender, remember. And it seems every night somebody comes up with, actually that's not true, seems much more frequently than I would expect, let's put it that way. People come up with a drink I've never heard of, or a combination that just seems bizarre to me. I've actually had, speaking of martinis, someone order a virgin martini, a virgin dirty martini. For those who know cocktails, that's effing bizarre. It's like the drink is all alcohol. Now a dirty one has olive brine. So in case of a dirty martini, it's salty alcohol. People call it olive juice. It's not olive juice. It's the brine that martinis are that olives are marinated in. Occasionally you get the pickle. And of course, margaritas can be served up. So there's so many choices. And so I thought it would be fun with the next one to have a whole mixture of cocktails. And the reason for the dye is to help with the randomization, because I don't want a grid pattern. I want a random selection of cocktails. So I thought I would use the John Cage element of chance and assign a drink a number on the die. That would, of course, necessitate 6 different drinks. I might do more. But, so the idea is to then roll the dice to get each different cocktail. Decide which one is going to be which. Which should be fun. See if it works. That's kind of the definition of this project. Let's see if it works. Because while I also don't like to plan things too deeply. Some artists do preliminary sketches, do small paintings. I have a good friend, incredible landscape painter, Andros Baladi. I suggest you look him up. And he does small plein air paintings and then takes those back into the studio and uses the plein air painting to build the full-scale paintings. I've always loved his work, and it's fun because I've watched his art develop over many, many years. I feel like he was a private school pseudo-military academy student on the high school level when I first met him. I don't know if that's true or not. But he was young. And that's a cool thing about living in a town for a long time. I did just do the math, and on the 7th of June, so a little over a week from now, I will have lived in Richmond an equal amount in the 21st and 20th centuries. If I haven't talked about it, I was raised by a mathematician. And so one of the ways to fill the time is to play around with numbers and figure things out. So it's interesting to have spent 23 years from 1977 to 2000, and then 23 more years from 2000 to 2023. I know nobody else finds that interesting. I told my wife that, and she was like, yeah, and? But I think it's cool. Noteworthy, something. So I want to just give you again the chance to remind you to give the piece a thumbs up if you like what you see. If you don't like what you see, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. and tell me why. Because like I say, this is something I've never done before. This concept, I'm still playing around with things, still making discoveries with the idea. And so I would actually appreciate your comments. So I'm just thinking, oh wow, that helps. Discoveries at every turn. And really, folks, for me, and I hopefully for you, the making of the work and what you learn while making it is what's exciting. Yes, I sell the work, and the previous video, The Infinite Cosmos, is up on my website, greigleach.com. It's for sale. I do sell the work. I appreciate the sales. I appreciate somebody wanting to hang these in their homes for a long, long time. Work was just in a, speaking of the last century, work from the previous century was just in a estate sale. One of my favorite paintings. I think I need to call the person who did the estate sale and find out what it sold for. But I'm also, it's about the painting, it's about the discovery, it's about the idea, it's about the pushing forward, it's about, well, what about this? And will that work? And is that a good idea? Does that idea suck? It's that constant investigation and discovery is the reason I keep making art. And I can't make a discovery without putting it on the page. I can think about it. I thought this would, actually, I'm sure I've talked about this already. But this whole idea of using the print, the block print, and then coming back in and painting over it came from a tradition of making an anniversary piece for my wife, and the piece I did involved this process. I was thinking about it, that might work. And the kicker was my very fashionable younger son saw that and went, oh my God, that's cool. And I kind of took that as an omen. So that's where this idea came from. And that's the other, try something, see if it works, get some feedback. And the person I made that for, my wife, Bridget Geffens, an actor, look her up. I know it'll sound funny, but graciously gives me very strong criticism. And if she doesn't think it works, I mean, in many cases, she's like, no, it sucks, do another one. And that's important for any artist, to have someone who's going to be honest with you. Brutally so. Doesn't have to be mean. I'm not saying she's mean. Saying she's brutally honest. And ultimately, what good is somebody telling you something's good when it sucks? Really, how does that help anyone? I mean, ideally you should go, not your best idea, and this is why, and this might make it work better. And she does do that. So that's why, just to bring it back to where I left off 15 minutes ago, I would appreciate your comments. What do you think? I may not weight them as heavily as I do Bridget's comments, but I will weight them. Have you all ever used chance in developing your work? Do you do preliminary sketches or do you just dive in? Do you sell your work? And I did say that that work, that paint, the other paintings, and this one eventually will be for sale at greigleach.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Greig Artist, Greig Artist, and Artist Cycling on Twitter, Artist Cycling on TikTok, although I'm a little baffled by TikTok. Haven't quite got the hook on that one. Probably help if I looked at it more. Who's got time for that? All right, well, thanks a lot. I'm going to keep working. Maybe I'll be able to finish this in a day or two because a small race is coming up that I love to paint. I'm not sure I'm going to have the time to paint it, the Criterion Dauphiné, because the following month, starting July 1st, I'll be painting the Tour de France. And I'll be sharing both time-lapse and full-length videos here and elsewhere. So, got to get these done before that takes over my life. Thanks so much. Appreciate you all watching.